Login accepted.
All right, hi everyone. We're gonna be starting our workshop, and this is basically this workshop is to help you guys, prepare for the trials tomorrow. Yeah, presented by the Cyberforce. Yeah, this is so you probably if you were here on Tuesday, you probably saw this already. So yeah.
Yeah. Hi guys, I'm Moose. I'm a current Swintern. I was the captain of Cyberforce, and I participated in NCAE last year as well. Thank you.
Yeah, I'm Josh. I helped develop comps for Swift, and I was on Cyberforce. Yeah.
I'm Kyle. I was on Cyberforce in 2025.
Yeah. Good.
I was also on Cyberforce 2025.
Okay. Yeah. So here's our table of contents for the workshop today. So we're gonna briefly talk about we're gonna give a recap of the tryouts for those that weren't able to make it on Tuesday. And then we're gonna be going through how you can access the template for the tryouts that we have for you guys to go through today. And then we have some tasks that we have for you to go through on the template. And then at the end we'll walk through the template with you guys. So first, tryouts recap. So NCAE is a Linux only a cyber competition, and it's supposed to be beginner friendly. And part one of the competition is setting up scored services, and you have to lock down your virtual machine from the live red team. And then part two is a CTF. There's a bunch of challenges like crypto, reverse engineering, forensics, and this is kind of how the trials are actually gonna go. So during the trials, you're gonna have services that you're gonna need to set up, and then after you set up those services, then you'll move on to our CTF challenge. And then so we made an announcement a couple of days ago about the briefing packet and the briefing slides. So if you guys have not taken a look at that, we have the links here. Okay, so now getting into how you're gonna access the template we have for you guys to work on today. So like we mentioned on Tuesday, there's actually you have to access the VPN. And I know on Tuesday there was a little miscommunication. So for those that have actually never you guys are completely new to Swift and have never accessed the infrastructure, you guys will need to scan the QR code. This QR code is actually the only public facing link that you guys can access without the VPN. And once you guys scan the QR code, then you can submit a ticket to IT, and then they'll give you and then after you get a response from IT, you can install step two, right? You can install Global Protect, and then using your CPP credentials, you can get access to the VPN. Who here doesn't have access to the VPN? You don't have that? Okay. Yeah. So you're gonna need to scan the QR code. Let us know if you have any questions. We can come help you out personally. Yeah, so this is kind of what I was talking about. This is after you scan the QR code and you get the response from IT. Then you're gonna, download Global Protect, and then the domain that you're gonna connect to is mgmtstccpp.edu. And then after you have access to the VPN, you're gonna go to domino.scc.cpp, and we have a template which you guys can deploy from there. Yeah. So while that template's deploying, we're gonna give out a few announcements. So the next steps are only for those of you that signed up to compete in the tryout. So for the trial competitors, maybe don't do this right now because you're deploying another template. But yeah, maybe like once you're at home, go back to Camino with the VPN and deploy the official NCAE tryouts template. And the router is on. It's out of scope, so don't touch the router. And do not turn on any of the machines before the tryouts, or else you will be disqualified. So yeah, please take heed to that. And then another announcement for the competitors. I'll send out this this link in Swift announcements. Or sorry, in the Swift competition Discord. And then make sure you fill it out just to confirm your registration for the tryouts.
Okay, we're gonna go ahead and start the lab. Hopefully, most people have everything set up, and if not, then you can have a partner to help go along with it. So the first thing to note is that even in a competition environment like this, Google is your friend, and you're not going to be able to know all the answers just right off the top of your head. So don't be afraid to Google things if you need help. Yeah. So first, have they done this yet?
No, not yet.
Okay. Turn on your NCAE practice machine. So if other people are having difficulties, I'm still gonna move on. And we can help you out with that as we go. So first, you cannot log in as user and instead log in as Jerry. What's the password for Jerry? Is it?
Yeah, I can talk about those.
Yeah, you talk about that.
So for those that have booted up the virtual machine, if you try to log in as user, you'll see that the entire machine will actually crash. And this is a vulnerability that was implemented. So what you want to do, right? It says click not listed, right? On the login page, there's an option to click not listed, and then just log in as Jerry. And Jerry doesn't need any password. You know, that's how he's a root user we configured with no password. And this is a vuln that we configured. And then once you're in, just take some time, 10-15 minutes. We'll give you some time and just, play around with the environment. Try changing directories, listing directories, and see what happens. See if you can, figure out what's causing these issues. Yeah, so we'll give you 10 to 15 minutes to do that. Hi, everyone. We're gonna have someone, Keon here is gonna walk through how you would log in and how you would solve all the issues you guys are having with some commands like cd, ls, and yeah. So
did anyone notice like there were some problems with the commands like ls?
yeah.
They replaced everything. The commands aren't there.
You tried nano?
Nano. Okay. Well, nobody touched that. I was using VI, so I didn't see that.
So in Linux there's things called aliases, which are basically just a way to give different names to commands. So you can see here in the alias, cat was set to just echo bra, ls was set to sl, nano was set to right? Nano was set to rickroll, and ss, w, and who were all changed. So basically, to change the aliases, you can use on alias tag a for all, and now they're all gone.
Wait, what is that first?
Which one?
Minus symbol A.
Yeah, minus.
It won't let me edit the bash stage to just remove all this stuff.
There's no more alias.
We're gonna get to that.
Yeah, we're gonna get to that.
So now you should have your normal commands back.
Are you guys recording this?
Yeah. Oh yeah.
There we go.
Okay.
Yeah,
We're thank you. Yeah. Okay.
Just in case.
and we're unmuted over here.
On alias space
So now,
symbol.
without the aliases, you
There's
should
all
have
the
your normal
aliases.
command stack like OS, W, and
Oh, I already have.
who.
Check alias.
So, the second question was about, we're about authentication. So, alright, so, you may have noticed that if you closed your terminal and then reopened it, the aliases came back. So, well, I guess I can demonstrate. Okay. Yeah, so you close your terminal and reopen it, all of the aliases come back. So,
No.
does anyone know why, what might cause that to happen?
Yeah, it's in the bash RC. It's just in there.
So the bash RC is a, my bad.
Welcome to the training. Just do, yeah.
Post terminal aliases came back. It's a problem.
Bash RC is this script here, in the home directory. It runs every time you open the terminal or a shell, and we look inside of bash RC. You can see right here these aliases. So these aliases are going to be created every time you open the shell. But if you try to edit it, yet operation not permitted, you can't write to bash RC. So check this. You can use ls adder.
I guess you have to.
You do ls adder bash RC. You can see this I indicates that the immutable bit is set on the file, meaning you can't change it unless you remove that. So,
Full bit mask.
Huh?
It shows the full bit mask before that. I didn't know that was a thing. I actually didn't know that.
so change it. Change attribute -I dot bash RC. Now if we try again, you can see the immutable bit is gone. So now we should be able to use nano or Vim if you want to use Vim. I don't know why.
It's nicer, more luxurious. Luxurious, it's hard.
Over here
That was-
and delete all of these. But also, make sure you scroll all the way to the bottom because there's more down here that you would want to delete. Save it, close it, and now those are gone. So authentication.
Did everyone here have a chance to take a look at the authentication on the machine? Okay. Yeah, I think maybe we can go through that as well. Yeah, let's do that.
So if you notice, you were able to log in without a password. You can log into any user without a password. So something that you might want to check would be PAM, which is the pluggable authentication module, which handles all of the user authentication for Linux. And it's going to be located in, let's see, pam.d. You see there's all these files here. The one we're interested in is common auth. We use nano. Yeah. And I don't know if anyone's familiar with it. Do you see anything wrong? You do?
I see something wrong.
What?
PAM authentication.
At least country.
Yeah.
That's
Okay.
Oh,
I'm on this.
on the right.
Yeah.
oh no, that is supposed to be there. It's actually right here. What this line is saying is in authentication, if the password is a success, then let the user in. And if the password by default, meaning if the password is incorrect, also a success. So this basically bypasses the authentication. So what should be here, ideally and by default,
It would be like some encryption.
it should be success equals 1, default equals ignore.
How did you get into this again? It shows.
This is in cd/etsy/pan.d and nano.
Okay, cool. Yeah.
Remember.
Sorry. Let me go back to the Zoom. Make sure everyone knows what's going on.
We're not very perfect there. It's the new answer like that. We're just saying the level 10, are we giving a password for generation?
Are you giving a password for Jerry? No, you're not giving a password for Jerry. You can just log in with no password for user Jerry.
No directory.
Really? Oh.
Oh, you can say that. Can you put something else in that right there? Everything to whatever you want.
Yeah, but if you have something vibration,
Oh. So
they give you like husband, like break it.
Oh, that's what I forgot.
Literally the other location member. Would you guys be able to go over the Bash RC one real quick? We can do.
Yes. Okay. So bash RC is a hidden directory in the user's home directory, right? So, yes. Okay, so what I did was cd tilde, right? And basically what this does is it brings you to your user's home directory, right? So I'm in the user's home directory. And if you do ls, you won't see bash rc because it's hidden by default. But then now if I do list all, you can see bash rc is here, right? And like we mentioned, bash rc is a file that basically sets up your terminal's environment. So every time you close a terminal and then you reopen one, it looks into the bash rc file to see how it wants to be set up, right? And we already deleted it, but if you do nano to edit bash rc, you would have seen there were a lot of aliases there. And one of them was like alias ls is set to sl.
Oh.
So sl basically is what printed the train thing when you tried to type ls. So yeah, that was bash rc.
That answered.
Yeah, is that good? Okay,
Thanks.
Great. Was everyone able to take a look at Pam? Or does anyone need more time? Any further explanation? Okay, if not, we can move on to the next part in our slides. So this next part is on cron tab. So here we have a couple of questions just to help guide you guys. Looking into what cron tab is. So how do you check cron tab? You know, what does cron job do and how often does it run? And when you find it, check to see if the cron job is secure or if it should be removed. So we'll give you guys a couple of minutes to look into that. We're gonna go over the cron tab now. So yeah, if you guys want to take a look up here.
So was anyone able to find it, figure out what it does?
Yeah,
Yeah.
you just do the firewall. It just allows everything through.
What?
So to list the cron tab, for the current user. The command is cron tab. Oh my god.
So.
L for list. And as you can see here, this,
I was underestimated.
this line right here is one we're interested in. Those 5 asterisks at the beginning, those indicate how often this line is going to run. 5 asterisks basically just means every minute. Like
Oh, you got the right direction.
every minute this is going to run. And what this basically is doing is IP tables is setting the output rule to accept, and IP table setting the input rule to accept. So accept everything, and then flush every other rule. Flush every rule, blocking ports, anything like that. Accept everything. Don't be a firewall, basically. So to remove this, what you'll do is on tab -E for edit. That's one of the ways you can do, or you can just do -D for delete. And then you just come here and delete it, save and exit. Yeah. Now the cron tab is gone.
Oh,
No, you have to put in
yeah,
password.
let's go move on.
Okay. I remember just, and they said it to, well, I said 5 minutes, 1 minute.
So if you want to go to the have the yeah. Yeah, okay, Loki. Sorry, I didn't shop
Alright, so this is our next step. This is probably, the one that'll take the most time, but it's just, checking users. So the first question is, where should you look to check the users? Now there's actually a specific file in Linux that lists all the users, right? So you would want to look for that. And then in that file, there are different arguments for each user that basically tell them, what's their permission, what groups they're in, what's the initial shell that they're put in as the user. So look for those to determine which users don't belong there. And then the next question is, has one of the other users been tampered with? So yeah, just take a look at the users, and if anything stands out, then it's probably suspicious. And then the last question is more specific. It says which users should be in a privileged group and which users should be removed. So when we say privileged group, we're basically talking about which user has sudo permissions. Sudo means super user do, right? So if your user has permissions to run sudo, then it basically
You have root access.
right, it temporarily gives you root access for a specific command. So yeah, these are just some questions to help guide you.
All right, so if you don't know, the ways that you can list the users on Linux is cat/etc/password. This file basically has all the users and their UIDs and their home directory and their shells. And you can see here, this user Jerry that we're using here has a UID of 0, which, if you don't know, UID 0 is the user ID for root, which root basically has access to the whole system. So you really want to secure that. And you can also see between these 2 colons, like here, there's an X, and all of these there's an X. Here there's no X, which basically means no password. You don't need a password. Even if you fix PAM like we did earlier, this user just doesn't have a password. So we definitely want to remove this guy, Jerry. Also, user here. You can see all of the other accounts have either bin.sh or bin-bash as their shell. User's shell is bin, however you want to say that. That's forever. Basically, that's a malicious shell that just it reverses everything you type in. It's not fun to use. So
reverse backwards.
yeah, it's reverse spelled backwards. So we'll change that first. Basically, one of the commands you can use is dhsh or change shell, and you want to use /bin/bash for the user, whose username is user up here. Oh, sorry, need a -s in there. Change shell tag as bin-bash user. How we can see that user's shell is bash. So for Jerry, or let's switch to user real quick. Get out of Jerry. For Jerry, you can use user del sudo user del force remove Jerry. Leave the password is bro. All right, for this, we're gonna great. Real fun. Just gonna drop some Jerry's off.
Oh.
Now there's just one.
Oh.
Who else should work? Oh man,
Jerry Mills.
I think Jerry's gone. Yeah, Jerry's gone. Bye, Jerry. And then for the groups in Linux, the groups are in if you guess that. Here, the sudo group basically gives super user permissions to anyone in it, and lets you use the sudo command. Here, we want to only have user. We want to really secure this group because it basically gives you access to the whole system. So I don't really trust these names here. Ryan, Daniel, Dave. We're gonna get rid of them. For that, there's a command for that as well. D password. D for delete. Ryan. We'll just do one for example, and then the group name sudo. And we'll put sudo in front of that as well. So removing user Ryan from group sudo. All right. Just pretend we did all of them in the interest of time. We go to the next one. Yeah.
Sudo G password -D Ryan sudo.
So
Show the slider. Yeah. This is the first one.
Yeah, so here's the next slide we're gonna go over, which is bind shells and insecure services. Yeah.
So this is one of these, they're always do that. We can this is wrong.
Yeah.
all right, so on Linux, what we're looking for right now are any listening ports, any listening network sockets on the system. So I use the command ss for socket statistics, and we're going to use T for TCP, U for UDP, L for listening ports, P for processes, and N for the network name. And it's not going to work. My bad. All right. Let me do that again. So basically, SS-TOLPN, you're going to show all the listening network sockets. It's going to give you the local address and port, as well as the protocol and other information. And basically, if you would look through this, you would see some suspicious ones. For example, where is it? Here. I'm gonna run the command again. Sorry, we're gonna do sudo as well again. All right, now you can see on port 8000 on 0.0.0.0 is basically any interface on the device. G unicorn is running with a PID with these PIDs 576.651. Basically, to investigate this, we do sudo system CTL for system control status, and then we pick any of these PIDs. This one. We'll do 665. As you can see here, this is a service running Flask app, which is Python. Basically running almost a website, kind of.
It's running a server somewhere.
Yeah.
Something.
A Python web server. So.
Do a local host 8,000 times.
So from this information, where it is. Oh, right.
Oh,
I remember.
that's a back door.
He found it.
And then we have to fix the I.
Oh yeah. So you can see here it's running from the directory user/local/bin/flaskapp.sh. So let's check that out. Cat. Cat.sh and it's running app in app in user libs. So we're gonna cat that as well. /user/lib/ app.py.
Minus I.
All right. So this is basically the Python code that is running on the web server. And if you look through this, we took the time to look through this.
Oh, so what do you want to
It
do?
just, yeah.
Yeah, this line here, basically, anyone can send a command to the web server, and it's going to run the command on the machine and send the response back to whoever sent the command. So this is obviously bad, and it's running as root. So it's obviously bad because it lets anyone run a command from anywhere. So stop this. You can system sudo cpl stop. What it was called? 665. Without that quote. They had regarded cheat. Forgot the name already.
Okay, that's what I was trying to think.
Sys.service. That's correct. Sys.
Doesn't work. I wasn't.
Oh, we're in a.
This will just be sys. That works well.
And
I'm using. And then you definitely want to delete those files, all the Python files that we saw.
I'm just leaving the Python file to as well.
Yeah. Okay. And also delete the service file if you want to.
Yeah.
as you here.
The next one is the next suspicious one that you would see is somewhere here. NC on port 4444. NC is netcat. That's definitely suspicious. There shouldn't be anything using netcat. So we're going to sudo system control like last time. Status 575. You can see here, it's named persistent bind shell.
Ooh, no.
So it's probably malicious. We definitely don't want that.
Yeah. I will say, yeah, I'll do it.
Would you like to say?
Here you see it's running user local bin bind shell.sh. So we cat
You guys work at the normal.
Oh, you press first.
Oh.
You can see here, this is netcat check LNVP on port 4444, and it's running the command bin bash in an infinite loop. So
So it's exposing another shell.
it's just just another bind shell running on port 4444. Any commands you send to it, it'll run on the system and send the output back. So to do this same process, delete the files, stop the service, delete the service files.
This thing.
And finally, the last one that might stand out is port 23. If you don't know, port 23 is the well-known port for Telnet, which is a famously outdated and insecure protocol that preceded SSH. It's a remote desktop protocol or remote shell protocol.
Yep.
Oh, there's two ways to it. So for this, I shouldn't have done that. PID 730. So through that. 30. Yeah, basically running telnet. It's running inetd.conf or inetd.service. You check //conf. It is running telnet on root. So same, stop the service with systemctl stop and then inetd.service.
Yeah.
Okay, so the next task would have been looking for any privilege escalation vectors. We'll just tell you right now, there are some SUIDs, binaries on the system, which is a set. SUID is for set user ID, and basically, you set the it sets the user ID of whoever runs it to whoever owns it.
Yes.
So, one way you can find look for those is by using find sudo find / to search from the root directory. Perm to filter permissions by 4,000. 4,000 being SUID. Just gonna take a second. So you see here, like this particularly dangerous one, like bin bash. Basically lets anyone use bash as root because root owns it. You would go through these and remove them, but to show, you can use. You see here, this S denotes set user ID, and it is owned by root. So whoever runs bash runs it as root, which is very dangerous. To remove it, you can use chmod u minus s, and then name of the file with sudo, of course. And if you list again, you see the S is gone. And yeah, now Josh is gonna do firewall.
Yeah.
Oh, fine.
Yeah. So now we're on section 4 at prep walkthrough. This is what we were doing. And yeah. So just kind of a brief review. I probably won't talk too much about it because we already went through it. But initial findings, right? You see a bunch of commands didn't work. You know, you typed them, some Rick rolled you, some printed a train. Yeah. So and then we see it's because of aliases, right? And basically what happens is it allows the command to do something else, right? And then we see unalias -a removes all of it. And then basher C, like I said, this is a file that sets up your terminal environment every time you close it, right? And this is where the aliases were configured. So you would want to remove it, but then we see that the file permissions were set to immutable, so you couldn't change anything. So you would have to do here change attribute tag I to remove it. Oh, sorry. I'm sharing screen. Okay. Yeah. And then here we see PAM, right? Pluggable authentication module. And basically this sets up the authentication for the entire machine, right? And then we see the directory that you want to navigate to is etc pam.d, right? And then the file that we were taking a look at today was common auth. And we see this line here, right? Success equals 1, default equals 1. And basically what this does, it makes it so that, whatever you type, no matter what you type, you're gonna get authenticated, right? So you want to change default to ignore.
Hi, I have a question.
Yes, yeah.
So is null okay supposed to be there in common auth?
Yes, it is. Actually, yeah, so we're not sharing screen anymore, but the line underneath that basically, yeah, see here. It says here's the fallback if no module succeeds, right? So because this line here will always succeed, it will always ignore this line. And you see this line basically is denying the user if they get it wrong, if they get the authentication wrong. But because this is always gonna succeed, then this line underneath it will always be ignored. Okay. So moving on to cron tab. We see that cron tab is basically a way for you to set up scheduled scripts, right? These scripts are scheduled. And we see in our case with this machine, there was a cron tab regarding IP tables. We'll talk about IP tables briefly in a bit. But basically what it does is it made it so that it would accept all incoming connections and all outbound connections were allowed too, right? And then here, right, IP tables -f, what this does is any other rule that you set will be flushed if you don't delete this cron tab, right? So then we see you need to do cron tab -e to edit the cron tab and then just delete the line. And then we see etc password is the file that lists all the users, and then we see here we have the user, the username, and then if there's an X, right? If there's an X, then we see that user has a password, and then the user ID, we learned that 0 means root, right? And that's not good. We don't want Jerry to have root. And then, yeah, yes, and then we also learned if you do cat etc groups, you can see who's in what group, and then we have some users here that were in the pseudo group, which we don't want. We don't want that, so we remove them. Oh yeah, and then going back here, you see that the login shell for user is bin/reverse, typed in reverse, right? And that was basically a reverse shell, and basically it made it so that whatever you typed was backwards, right? So we had to change that to bin bash. So then here are some commands that you could do to change that. Yeah, and then we need to delete Jerry because we don't like Jerry.
Yeah.
And then this is removing the users from the pseudo group that we don't want. So it'll just be g password and then delete the username from the pseudo group. This command here. And these slides will be posted, so feel free to go through these slides afterwards. And then next we have listeners. So SS stands for socket statistics, and it basically shows what ports are open and are listening for incoming connections. And then T and U are for the protocols, TCP and UDP. L is for listening, right? And then P is the process, and then N is the network name. And then here we see a screenshot. You guys can take a look at that. And then we see some of the listeners, Keihan went through it. You have Green Unicorn, Netcat, and INetD, which is the daemon for Telnet, right? Yeah, sometimes you don't know what they stand for, so you can just Google it and it'll tell you what service it is. And then we see that Green Unicorn was running a reverse web shell. So then you could basically enter commands on the web server and then it would run on this particular machine. And then to delete it, system control stop, and then sys service. Right? And you also have to delete the app, the Pi and the Flask app. Yeah, okay. Oh, and also delete the service file in systemd system. Okay. And then we see netcat is basically netcat is like the Swiss Army knife of Linux. So it can do many things, and one of the things it can do is listen on an open port, right? And this is why actually in the tryouts it's very important that you configure a firewall. Because if you had a firewall, this wouldn't be a problem. There would be no incoming connections coming through port 444. So yeah. And then we see telnet is the outdated SSH, and it's a vuln because actually all traffic going through telnet is not encrypted, so attackers can easily steal your information. And then privilege ask, we see SUID. It basically makes it so that you can run the binary with the permissions of whoever owns it. And so we see bin bash is owned by root, and because there's a SUID bit on that, anyone that runs it will have root access. They'll have a root shell. Okay, here. So we come to the firewall, and then we see that what you should do during the tryout is to block all ports except for those that are being scored, right? And we see here we'll talk about IP tables, right? So we saw IP tables previously, and basically how it works is we have tables which are files that group similar rules, right? And these we have chains which are the strings of rules, and when a packet is received, IP table finds the appropriate table and filters it, right? So here we have an example, IP tables, and then -a is append, right? So this is a new rule you're adding in, and then the protocol is TCP, and then dport basically means this port is open for incoming connections on port 22, and in this case 22 is SSH. So you guys would need to do this during the tryouts. You would need to make sure port 22 is open, right, so that the scoring engine can go and access SSH. And then here we see state new established. What this means is that it knows which connections are already established and which ones are new ones, right? IP tables is a stateful firewall, so it's able to track the TCP connections. And one important thing is make sure you make the rules persistent. If you don't make your firewall rules persistent, then when you turn off the machine and boot it on, your rules won't be there. And how you do that is you would install IP tables persistent, and it'll write to etc IP tables rules. And then finally, we have UFW. UFW doesn't operate as close to the operating system, so it's much easier to use. The commands are not as complicated. We see here, you install UFW, sudo apt install UFW, and then you do, in order to deny all incoming connections, you do sudo UFW default deny incoming, and then the same with outgoing. And then here is where you would allow the specific port. So then you would allow 22 for SSH, 53 for DNS, and so on. And then sudo UFW status checks to see if your firewall is up and running. So finally, good luck for the trials tomorrow. Be ready like 20 minutes before the trials start. Of course, the goal of the competition is to set up your services as fast as possible. So you don't want to be doing other things when the competition starts, right? And there will be a Discord call 10 minutes before tryouts in the Swift competition server. If any of you guys have any last-minute questions. Yeah, thank you guys for coming. This is our first workshop of the year, so we had some technical difficulties, but thank you guys for bearing with us, and yeah, good luck tomorrow.